Hi everyone! Today I've decided to do something slightly different. So you know how I've got my 3-book wrap-up series that I do every time I read 3 books, I talk about them. So because it was the end of the year and they are reads from 2022, some of them are from November, so I've decided to do it 4 and 4, the last remaining ones or so, because I'm behind on all the videos and I need to film quite a few. So I've decided to combine the 4 this time, and do, instead of 3 book wrap-up video, do a 4 wrap-up video. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to be talking about them in the order that I read them, so let's go. So the first book I'm going to be talking about is the one I read in November, and that is She and Her Cat by Makoto Shinkai and Naruki Nagakawa. And the reason why I bought this book in the first place is of course because of the cat. I love cats, as probably everybody on this channel already knows. It's only a small book. There's a cat on the cover as well on the back. So also I just do have some sort of love for Japanese literature that's got cats on there. I've read a few, liked some, loved The Travelling Cat Chronicles. That's joined now the list of my favourite books of all time. And so I'm always on the hunt for more books like this. And this one was not a disappointment. I gave this one 5 stars. I thought it was amazing. This book is broken up to 4 different sections, so it follows a different character in every chapter, but the characters all know each other, so it's always intertwined and interconnected. And a lot of the time we also get perspectives from different cats, which is just so adorable. So you don't only get the perspective of the main character that we are following, we also get a perspective of the cat that is related in one way or another to this character. And it's basically, like the description says on here, it is a magic of everyday life, which is exactly what it is. And I just loved it so much. I cried a few times during this book. It's not a very plot-driven book. It's purely characters and their relationships with different people and cat's point of view as well. I loved it. I loved it so much. Like I said, it made me cry, it made me happy. I just loved it. For such a small book to get such a strong emotional response from me, I think it's quite a big deal, especially considering I don't normally jam with short books that much, that I always find them quite, well, too short for me to care too much, but this one was definitely an exception and I loved it. Next one I read again in November is The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. So this is the second book that I read by T. Kingfisher. The first one was The Hollow Places, which I absolutely loved, and then I decided to go into this one, which I was a little bit disappointed in. So I've given this one 3.5 stars. No, sorry, 3 stars. Actually, I think it might deserve 3.5 stars, to be honest. I think I was a little bit harsh by giving that rating, but I'll explain why. We've got Mouse, who is the main character, and her dad asks her to go and clear out her grandmother's apartment, who's recently passed away. But there she finds a diary from her granddad, or step-granddad, that's the one. And he's describing all these weird things. So she thinks he's like maybe a madman or something, until one day she discovers something rather really strange in a forest behind her grandmother's house. I'm not going to say any more than that. It started off pretty creepy and the atmosphere was great. And what I do like about this author so far is, like, she does horror books, but the 2 at least that I've read so far, they're like cozy horror in a way, because there's just something comforting about it. I don't know whether it's something to do with the writing style or with the character's thought process, I'm not exactly sure, but I always find it a little bit like comforting and cozy. So I definitely want to read more books by this author, even though this one I didn't quite rate as high as I would have liked, but there we go. From Hollow Places and this one, there are quite a lot of similarities between the main characters, what they do in life, and their relationships and stuff like that. It's very, very similar, to the point that it's almost copied, but in a slightly different environment and a slightly different setting and all of that. But I didn't mind that too much. But the atmosphere for sure is very strong in this book, and like I said, the creepy scenes were very creepy. Very, very creepy. But there was one section in the middle that really annoyed me. There was like a little extract from the book. They talk about this book in the book that somebody wrote about what's going on currently, what she's seen in the forest and stuff like that. And that extract of the book really took me out of the story. I feel like it was a little bit unnecessary and it was kind of difficult to follow, and I didn't care about it. And to be honest, even if it wasn't there, I genuinely don't think anything would have changed in the book at all, so it didn't really matter that it was there. Yeah, it sort of gave us more detail about the background of that thing happening. I guess a bit more substance to what was going on, but I think something else should have been done, because that really took me out of the story. And after that I sort of lost interest because it sort of made it a little bit less scary. That's why I dropped the rating to 3. But genuinely, like I said, I think it's more 3.5 stars because I still liked it and I still on occasion think about this book. So it's definitely one of those that sticks in your head. So I think a rating of 3 stars is a little bit too harsh. So I might change it to 3.5 or 4 stars because, like I said, I do keep thinking about it on occasion. So yeah, but I've got another book by her, What Moves the Dead, which I will be reading at some point, and just carry on reading more of her books because I do like her style so far. The last book I read in November was The Vanishing of Evelyn Jones by Phil Hicks. I like covers of these books quite a lot, and as you can see, it is the 3rd book in a series. I don't know how many books there are going to be, but they are just currently like being published, I think every year, somewhere in October. So that one was the latest one in this one. It's a middle grade story, and we follow this main character, Evelyn, who in every book gets onto a different sort of adventure, meets different people, different characters, so it focuses on different storylines. But in this specific one, we going with Evelyn and her mum to her uncle's house because he disappeared mysteriously. And then Evelyn in the house finds out that he was into like supernatural and disappearances that were happening around that area. So she now thinks something might be going on there. So she of course goes and investigates it. I really do enjoy these books quite a lot. This one wasn't quite as good. I've given this one 3.5 stars. Just because it wasn't as creepy as all the other ones. So the first one, The Haunting of Evelyn Jones, was the best one for sure. And then The Bewitching of Evelyn Jones I did enjoy a lot, but not quite as much. But this one was my least favourite so far. The atmosphere though is still there. It's very atmospheric for sure. It still has different illustrations as well throughout chapters and stuff like that, so it does add the to the atmosphere, and it's only a small little book. So I still love the characters in this book. I like the atmosphere for sure, but the plot I just didn't feel it was that strong. And also I think it's one of those books that sort of goes on a journey to find someone, and I've realised recently, especially with middle grades, I'm not a fan of like journey stories where characters go to save somebody or find something. I just don't always enjoy those types of things. It's not quite like that, but in a way it sort of is. And I don't know, I just wasn't too keen on this one, but I would love to carry on with the series though. And then the last book that I'm going to be talking about in this video, and the first book in December, even though I started it months and months ago, it is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I buddy read it with my friend and it was a great experience. It is a sci-fi novel. We follow Ryland Grace, who is on a spaceship. So he wakes up one day and he's alone on a spaceship. He doesn't remember what he's doing, why he's there, why his other teammates are dead. He does not have any sort of memory, so he's there completely by himself. The memories slowly return to him, and he realizes that there's an extinction threat to the Earth, and he needs to save humanity. I really enjoy this book. I must admit there were quite a few sciencey bits that I had to reread in order to understand them more, and I also wasn't a big fan of time jumps in the story. Sometimes it took me out of the story. So when he would get his flashbacks, it obviously goes back to the past and we get to know more about the background of the story, which was essential obviously to understand what's going on. and for him to start remembering all of those things, why he's there, what he's supposed to be doing and stuff like that. But I still gave this one 5 stars. I love sci-fi, especially when it's well done, and I think this one is just brilliant. Again, Andy Weir, this is the second book I read by him, the first one being Martian, which I really enjoyed as well. So this one was just great. I think I enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed The Martian, because I don't know, I just did. There's one specific thing, I don't want to say too much, but there's one specific friendship in the book that I absolutely loved, and it just made the story so much better, and it's amazing. It was just, oh, I loved it so much, that part of the story. But of course all of the sciencey stuff, the spacey stuff, very professional term here, but I loved this book, and especially considering I read it with a friend, we would chat after every chapter and discuss sometimes our theories or just thoughts in general, which is great. So it added to experience, and I really had a good time with this book. It took us quite a few months to read, but then both of us were also reading other books in between, and because there's a lot of sciencey stuff, I would sometimes just be too tired to read it. But it was a great book. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned and what you thought of them. I'd love to know that. If you like this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!